are a lot of similarities in food and drink across cultures. If we start thinking about similarities and thinking that that's the end of it, we end up going down a slippery slope.
It creates the potential for erasure, for sure. You definitely have to be careful when we're talking about each other's culture. It's so personal to each and every one of us.
I think the best way of learning is just going out to eat and drink. Oh, I can learn from you. Like a lot of ingredients are overlapping, but it tastes completely different. Why?
It's this really wonderful, welcoming way into getting to know people and their identity and their culture. That's where all the fun begins. So this is laksa.
It smells delicious.
It's amazing. It is incredibly different in every region and every, even every city and every stall. And I really like that idea of difference. And we get to see the histories and also part of that, the difficulties. And that, I think, then builds something a bit more interesting.
I think you're right. It's all about the reference points. It's the same in cocktails. No? You have a gin martini versus a vodka martini. It's very dependent on where you are, what age you are, what reference you have. If you say to someone who grew up going out in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, it would be any kind of fruit martini, watermelon martini, lychee, and it would be New York.
Espresso martini,
exactly,
yeah.
Exactly.
When I moved to New York, there's one big thing that's very different is savory, especially savory and cold. So in our culture and back in Asia, everything savory is hot. But here, the cheese, the olive, and also Bloody Mary, all this thing is cold and savory. It's actually a little bit of culture shock for me at the beginning, but now I really enjoy the flavor, I would say. But something not from our culture, but our flavor, our palate also changed and adapt to new things.
Comfort food for me, it hasn't changed. And that's in my blood. I need rice, dumplings and rice. But we do have one new comfort food, at least it's new for me. Recently, it's so comforting. I'm so hungry right now just to think about it, is the tacos on the street. So every Monday in Double Chicken Please, it's our admin day and training day. And around 6, 7 p.m. we'll be like, tacos, okay, how many? And then let's go.
That first taco truck, those first dumplings, those first samosas, the sensation of it physically opens you up to what is different and something else to learn about. And being naturally curious, that always led me to the people and the history as well. Nothing is born out of the air, Comfort Kitchen itself is a space that celebrates West African cuisine throughout the African diaspora, but follows the spice trade from Southeast Asia into Africa, into the Caribbean, into the Americas, really emphasizing how the way that spices sort of changed our cuisines, the way that trade, it improved on our cuisine, it erased some parts of our cuisines, and it's a really fun, exploratory concept, really emphasizing spices from across the globe and how they play a role in what feels like comfort food to us.
Bon appetit. What do they say in Norway?
Weirdly enough, you say nothing, or you just I hope you'll find it tasteful.
Oh, that's
something
nice.
like this.
Yeah. How does that sound? What's
Håper smaker.
Håper smaker. So when someone comes into a restaurant or a bar in Norway,
it's not like you would stop and say welcome or anything. It's very strange because in London, I think it would be unacceptable. If you go into a space and nobody acknowledges who you are or that you're there, you would just walk out.
I think Malaysia is pretty similar. Whereas here, there's a lot of etiquette around it.
Yeah, because even in Seoul or some places in China, you wouldn't go to a table and say, would you like something else? You wait until you're
called over.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Nothing is right, nothing is wrong, it's just different.
I think in American bars, the size of the cocktail tend to be larger, than the Taiwanese bar. The speed, I think that in American bars that the guests tend to consume the drink faster, like much faster. And then we don't have tip culture in Taiwan.
Tipping culture is intense. At the beginning, the first couple years when I'm working at different place, I'm the youngest. I'm the one who have to go chase after people who didn't pay tips. My senpai, my senior would say, go, and I would just run downstairs, catch the people, ask for the reason why they didn't tip, kindly ask them to tip.
Yeah, and because of that, I think they can be a little more judgmental about your service, because they feel like they, give you money, like extra money for your service.
Boston has a very insular character and culture to it. I always call it a city of regulars. You can really thrive here once you find like your regular friends, your regular bar, your regular spaces that you hang out in, that you work in. On a negative tip, it's very much who you know. You can walk into a restaurant in New York and there's no question of why you're there. You're a guest here for dinner. And oftentimes you can go to a place in Boston and there's this immediate feeling, and this could be just coming from my perspective as a Black person, this immediate feeling of like, who is this? I think now we're seeing a lot more restaurants adapt the New York style of being more open-minded about guests and whom they're serving as we move into a more global mindset of cuisine and culture. But I would say in terms of like those really specific customary differences, we get the same rude people waving dollars at you or their phone to tap and pay. Gotta keep up with the times.
Bartending, it really depends on the culture. I think in the US, it's a very low bar. You can just enter this industry, with no skills experience. A lot of people in their college, if they want to do a part-time job, they'd be like, go to this bartend, this is, fast money. Yeah, but like in Asia culture, in Taiwan, especially Japan, I think that's completely opposite. A lot of people wanted to be a bartender because they wanted to be a bartender forever as a career. The culture-wise is very, very different than here.
When I was 24, did I think that I was gonna like pack it up and bartend in Korea? Yes. Did I do that? No. So bartending is what you make it. Hospitality careers are what you make it. But it is, I would say, one of the most rewarding professions because you have the ability to physically travel, but what you create also allows you to travel as well. And having access to really inventive, innovative spirits and beers and wines and bitters and tinctures and syrups, you're able to transport yourself somewhere else.
One of the things I love about hospitality is that it's something that you can take around the world, and anywhere that you go to, you can dive in and you will always, learn something new, definitely meet interesting people, and it allows you a direct dive into a culture, and it gives a space for an exchange of knowledge and a conversation, because there are often very diverse people within restaurant spaces or bar spaces and anywhere in the world. I mean, what a beautiful thing, right?